Nebraska's 2027 recruiting class is about to change everything. The Huskers already have a top 5 class in America, and folks, we are just getting started. So in today's video, I'm going to reveal this big time update, everything going on behind the scenes with the #1 tight end in America, 5-star. You already know who that is. Are the rumors true? Is he actually a silent commit? A couple big time offensive prospects I have my eyes out for. What's going on with the defense? Some good news, some bad news that we need to address. Some commits who are coming very soon. How does Nebraska's new coaches impact this recruiting class? All the Michigan stuff going on right now, whether or not we could take advantage of that. How good is the Huskers class actually going to be, and everything else you need to know. So really quick, this is a loaded update. I'm fired up. If you are too, hit that like button. And also, this is the only channel on Nebraska YouTube that posts this type of stuff: recruiting updates, coaching carousel updates, transport updates. If you want to stay informed of the Huskers this offseason, it's no brainer. It takes 2 seconds. Join the family. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, we have a lot to talk about. It's crazy to say we are sitting here in mid-December and Nebraska has a top 5 class in America with 7 total commits, and we are just getting started. Really, the reason why we took such a small 26 class, we only got 10 total commits in that cycle, not only is because we're going to attack the transporter very hard, but Nebraska staff knew they were going to go all in with the class 27. Not only are we going to land 20, 25, maybe even 30 commits, not only is the quantity going to be there, but the quality will be there as well. We're going after some big-time 4-star and 5-star prospects. We're aiming for one of the best classes in America, one of the best classes in the history of this program. Not only is the playing time there, the coaching staff there, the connections there, the facilities there, but for the first time in a long time, the money's there. And that's the deciding factor. And that's why Nebraska's in the mix for a lot of these big-time recruits. So let's get things started with this loaded update. I want to begin with all the rumors right now around the #1 tight end in America, 5-star. You already know who this man is, Ahmad Hudson. Now, we talked about him last week on the channel with all the rumors right now on Twitter. Of course, he tweeted out just a couple days ago a Nebraska emoji, #GoBigRed, that was retweeted by multiple staffers. There were a couple recruiting staffers by Nebraska who tweeted out that a commit was coming very soon, hinting at Ahmad Hudson that he could potentially be a silent commit. And I told you guys at the time with the conversations that I've had, again, you guys know that I tight with a lot of these recruits to talk to them on the regular, that they watch the channel, that Ahmad Hudson is not a silent commit. That at the time, last time we talked about him, that he's not a silent commit. He's very interested in Nebraska. Right now, we are by far #1 on his list. But again, LSU still in the process. Texas A&M still in the process. However, that changed when he tweeted out just yesterday, #GoBigRed, corn emoji, and then bones emoji. Once again, this was retweeted by multiple staffers, multiple current recruits saying, hey, news is coming soon. Trey Taylor, Tayalis, a couple of these other guys saying, hey, Ahmad Hudson, he might be in this class very quickly here. So again, something to monitor. And again, I told you guys this, like Ahmad Hudson is not one of these guys who's, is trying to get engagement. He's not very active on Twitter to begin with, right? But he constantly hypes up Nebraska on social media, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on Twitter. He's talking about, potentially leaving the state of Louisiana. And again, we know there's a lot of uncertainty around those other programs he's interested in, right? With LSU, right? Again, he likes Lane Kiffin. He was already being recruited by Ole Miss before Lane Kiffin went over to LSU, but he doesn't know what the entire coaching staff's going to look like. There are a couple coaches that he liked at LSU who might not be there anymore. Texas A&M, again, we don't know what that coaching staff's going to look like after the playoffs are over. And we also know with Nebraska, and I've said this before, where he has the best relationship with Trey Taylor out of any other player in this entire class. He wants to pair up with Trey. He wants to pair up with Tayalis, a couple of the other guys. Okay, he's not going to get that at LSU. He's not going to get that at Texas A&M. So once again, I will confirm what I've told you guys over these past couple weeks. Nebraska is the favorite. I expect it to be that way for a long time. If you were to commit today, it would be Nebraska. However, he's not committing today. Okay, and I don't know why he's putting this out on social media. I don't know why the staffers are putting this out saying, oh, there's a silent commit. He's not a silent commit. I can tell you that almost for certainty. Okay. And again, with Ahmad Hudson, it's going to be something that draws on for a very long time. I do expect this to be, again, at the very earliest, a March commitment. He's going to take a visit to Nebraska. He's going to take a visit, again, still to Texas A&M, still to LSU, because those programs have a lot of money on the table along with us. But just know, again, this should give you confidence. We have the quarterback factor. We have the coach factor. We have the playing time factor. And Nebraska will not allow themselves to get outbid for Ahmad Hudson. Trust me on that. They will not allow themselves to get outbid for Ahmad Hudson. Again, we were talking with Trey Taylor a couple days ago on the live stream. He popped in. I was on live stream, and Trey Taylor popped in, was talking in the comment section, and Trey said right now the #1 team to beat is Texas A&M because they're being incredibly aggressive with their money, but just know Nebraska's willing to match anything that Texas A&M offers. So to wrap it up, when it comes to Ahmad Hudson, before we get to all the other players, just a loaded update. Is it a silent commit? No. Is Nebraska the favorite? Yes, but it's something I expect to still draw on at least until the spring of next year. But again, some good news there on Ahmad Hudson. He keeps talking about about us. Again, we are by far the number one favorite for the number one tight end in America who also plays basketball, who will play basketball in college. Okay, let's get to the rest of the offensive side of the football. All the prospects I'm eyes out for. Some commits who are coming soon. Then we got to get to the defense. Some good news, some bad news there. Cooper Twillinger is somebody who we've talked about in the past. Again, he's somebody who's a top 200 recruit, number one player out of South Dakota. In my opinion, the number one player out of the Midwest, not named Torrey Pittman. And again, he's a silent commit. Okay, he's kind of told the staff what's going to happen here. It's not really taking any other visits. We're kind of waiting on him to announce. Again, it does not impact the Ahmad Hudson recruitment at all. We're going to take 2, if not 3 tight ends in this class. We're going to be very busy in the positional group. But just watch out for Cooper Twillinger, somebody with great height, great speed, really, really good blocker, very physical. And again, I could see something, again, today, tomorrow, I could see something in February, right? He's in no rush, but would be very shocked if he doesn't end up signing with Nebraska in 1 year. But again, I do expect him to commit very soon and make that official. Then let's talk about the running back position, because I've received a lot of questions over these past couple days. With Amir Brown committing, does that mean Nebraska's out all our other running back prospects, or we could take one more? And I believe we are absolutely going to take one more. Again, Amir Brown is a great prospect, someone with great speed, great size, very tough coming out of the East Coast, but I want somebody to pair his speed with. I want a bruiser. I want somebody who can, he's built for the Big Ten, built for 15, 20 carries a game, somebody with high upside. And I'll continue to go back to this name. Kaylon Haney is somebody who I will continue to sing his praises until he commits to Nebraska. And Nebraska has a committable offer on the table. Again, it's a bunch of offers nationwide. He's a borderline 4-star type of guy. But simply put, this is the best Nebraska running back to come out of this state in a very long time. Okay, he's better than Nelson Wheeler from last year's class who's committed to Illinois. He's definitely better than Connor Booth. Even though Connor Booth ran for 1 million yards, Connor Booth was playing like Class C football. Kaylon Haney's upside is unmatched. Again, he's literally Marshawn Lynch 2.0. He's beast mode. Okay, you watch his film, it's unbelievable. He's run over dudes. I've never seen anything like it. With also great speed, who also knows how to catch and block. So right now, Nebraska's made it very clear they want 2 running backs in this process. They also went after Isaiah Rodgers, another running back coming out of the East Coast. The reason why I don't think we're going to land Isaiah Rodgers anymore is because he doesn't really complement Amir Brown. They're both speed backs. I want somebody to match Amir Brown's speed with power. And Kaylon Haney's the only one we're going after who has that power. So watch out for this guy. But again, he's made it very clear he wants to commit to Nebraska, just kind of waiting on the green light there. And he wants to pair up with this guy, Torrey Pittman, in Lincoln. Then a couple of wide receiver prospects I'm eyes out for. Now, as of right now, of course, we have 2. We have Ellis and we have Jabari Watkins. But I wouldn't be shocked if Nebraska adds a 3rd, if not a 4th. And Khalil Taylor is somebody who we need to talk about. Again, 5'11", 180, decommitted from Penn State. Now, Virginia Tech has heavily gotten the mix here ever since James Franklin went over there. But you still got Ohio State, you got Rutgers. I mean, he has a bunch of big-time offers. And this is somebody, once again, great relationship with Trey Taylor. And quite literally one of the fastest recruits in America. He runs about a 4.3. I mean, this dude's not only fast, but he's quick, lightning quick. He's a return. It's kind of like a Jacory Barney in a way, right? Not phenomenal size, but man, you can't teach speed. And he's coming out of the East Coast, so you know it's tough. You know he can break tackle. So we'll watch out for Khalil Taylor right now. I would say we're in his top 3 with, again, Nebraska, Virginia Tech, probably Ohio State in there as well. But Nebraska making a run for him. Expect him to visit next year. And then let's talk about the trenches. Because we need to start recruiting well in the offensive line, especially with a brand new offensive line coach in Jeep Way. Now, I told you guys, my only concern when Donovan Raiola got fired was how it was going to impact this 27 class. Because quietly behind the scenes, Donovan was doing a really good job. Okay, he was recruiting all these 5-stars nationwide. They were interested in Nebraska because of Donovan and Donovan alone. Where now that Donovan's gone, you have to kind of rebuild his relationships from scratch. These guys kind of know Matt Rhule, but they don't have a great relationship with Matt Rhule. They're not talking to Matt Rhule every day. They're talking to Donnie every day. So it's important that Jeep Way comes in here and talks to these guys. That's why we're bringing Lonnie Teasley on the staff too. But Kennedy Brown, somebody I'd watch out for. Nebraska pretty easily right now. It's his top 5. He's visited the Huskers multiple times. He's coming out of Texas. Tay Ellis has been peer recruiting him for some time now. So this is somebody where I think it's going to be hard to get him away from Texas. I think he wants to stay with either Texas A&M or Texas, or even Texas Tech for that matter. But again, money talks, and I think honestly Nebraska might get outbid. Even though we got a lot of money, I don't know if we're willing to pay him like 7 figures. This is a 7-figure type of guy. He's the number 1 tackle in America. But we'll watch out for Kennedy Brown right now. I do believe we're in his top 5. And again, Trey's involved here too, as you'd imagine, but watch out for Kennedy Brown. This is somebody who's interesting. This is Joshua Samapelli. Everybody's asking, well, what are the recruiting implications for Jeep Wade? Is he going after anybody right now? This is the guy you need to know, because Joshua Samapelli was already interested in Nebraska before Jeep Wade got here. Nebraska was probably his number 1. Georgia Tech was probably his number 2. Again, he's coming out of Georgia to begin with. So, if anything, I'd say Nebraska by far is the favorite, telling them now that we're kind of combining those two powers. Again, somebody's a top 100 player in America. He's a borderline 5-star guy, 6'8" for crying out loud, 210 or 310 pounds. So just watch out for him. But that Jeep weight connection is going to be very significant. Olu, I'm not going to pronounce his full name. He goes by Olu. Again, 6'6", 270 out of the East Coast. Somebody who just visited Nebraska at the end of the season. Really enjoy Lincoln. Watch out for this name. The Huskers firmly inside his top 5. You got Kyler Kuhn, who should be a name that most Nebraska fans need to get familiar with. We need to know these Midwest guys, particularly Missouri. Nebraska's easily inside his top 5. Okay, he's coming out of Kansas City. Again, it's at St. Pius over there. So you got Iowa in there, Missouri. You got some other regional schools, but Nebraska has come in a while from the table. It kind of reminds me, honestly, of Hudson Parliament from last year's class. You guys remember him, and who we missed out to Iowa, and I was really upset about it. Kyler Kuhn kind of gives me the vibes of a Hudson Parliament, so hopefully we can get him in this class, but somebody who's very physical, Midwest boy, and would fit this Nebraska culture immediately. And then talking about a couple of our offensive line before we get to defense, Reese Russell's down to Nebraska, Washington. Honestly, he said he's going to come in by the end of the year. At this point, it looks like Washington, because again, we fired Donovan. It's going to be tough to build a relationship overnight. He's already made it clear he wants to commit by the end of the year. I mean, we'll see if he ends up staying with Nebraska, but again, I told you guys a couple weeks ago I like Nebraska, but now that Dane's gone, might be out of the window. You got Albert Simmons here, again, number 1 interior offensive lineman in America. Would watch out for this name. Again, 6'3", about 300 pounds, coming out of Louisiana. Again, kind of the same deal as Ahmad Hudson, right? It's pretty much Nebraska, Texas A&M, LSU. I would take Texas A&M right now as the favorite. LSU number 2, Nebraska number 3. We have some work here to put up, but he's visited Nebraska multiple times, and again, somebody who probably still will visit in the spring. All right, let's get to the defensive side of the football, because we have some good news and we have some bad news. What do you guys want to start off with? You guys want to start off with the bad or the good? Let's start off with the bad. Let's start off with the bad news, because we have a lot of good news to talk about as well. So Juju Johnson, again, he was supposed to commit on the 1st of December, but ended up pushing it back. Again, at the time, looked like a huge Oklahoma lean. With him pushing him back, kind of looked like Nebraska was going to get back involved. Even though Nebraska is back involved here, Atzelim's done a really good job. I do expect Juju Johnson to still commit within these next couple weeks, potentially by January, if not February. And I do believe he will commit to Oklahoma. So we miss out on a borderline 5-star corner, in my opinion, one of the best corners in America. Again, not confirmed yet. Obviously, a lot can happen, but right now it looks all in on the Sooners. Aaron Washington in the same grain. Nebraska was firmly inside his top 5. There was an article released the other day that says he's down to USC and Georgia. Nebraska's completely out of it. I mean, that was completely out of the blue. It looked like Nebraska and USC were going head-to-head, not USC and Georgia. He ended up tweeting something out later. He said, no, that the article is incorrect in considering all schools. Probably not, because Aaron Washington was the one who feeded those insiders that information. So, looks like it's going to be USC there. Unfortunately, Nebraska misses out on another borderline 5-star corner who we really thought we had a good chance at, because he visited 3 times this season, right? We thought it was going to be us or the Trojans. Elijah Haarberg committed to Oklahoma. That was arguably our biggest target on the defensive line. And then Miles Smith was also our second biggest target on the defensive line. He looks like he's going to commit to Texas A&M within these next couple weeks. So 2 guys that look like huge Nebraska leans are now off the table. All right, that being said, let's get to the good news. Of course, it was announced last night that Jane Travers has committed, somebody I'm very high on. Again, people were saying, Wilson, why are you calling him a borderline 4-star? Because he is a borderline 4-star. It's very early on this process. I could very well see him get bumped up to a top 200 player in America. Like, we forget last year we had CJ Brana as a commit, and he was a low 3-star. He ended up being a borderline 5-star. So again, I'm going to call this guy a borderline 4-star because he is. And I do believe it's a very high upside get, really good motor coming out of one of the best high schools in America. Really pumped by that addition. But we need more defensive linemen. It's imperative whoever we hire here, well, that's Elijah Robinson, well, that's another name, they got to come here and recruit ASAP. They got to recruit ASAP, because we need, I would say, 4 total defensive linemen in this class, maybe even 5. So Jamar Thompson, somebody to watch out for, coming out of Florida, visit Nebraska this season for the Michigan game. We're firmly inside his top 5, along with some big-time schools. I mean, you got Miami in there, Bama, Ole Miss. Right now, I don't think the Huskers are in a really good position to land him, but again, a lot can change. A lot can change. We have a good connection in Florida, again, with Philip Simpson, with a couple other our recruiters. So watch out for Jamar Thompson. Probably right now, with Tarver's committed, I'd say he's probably our number 1 guy on the defensive line. You also have Rashad Street, edge rusher, coming out of North Carolina. Freak athlete. I mean, this is probably my number 1. He had like 30 sacks this season for his high school. Nebraska just made his top 10. I'd say right now probably in his top 3 if you were to release that. You got Tennessee, you got NC State, you got a couple other regional schools, but Nebraska in a good place for him. He'll probably visit very soon. You got Gabe Jenkins as well, who decommitted from Penn State. We're in his top 2 right now, along with Virginia Tech, as you'd imagine, with James Franklin going over there, but he's somebody who probably will commit in these next 2 months. Brandon Lockley just visited for the Iowa game, had a good time. Nebraska right now is the team to beat, but a lot can change here. He was originally really liking Penn State, but again, a lot has changed at Penn State since then with Matt Campbell going over there. And then Kobe Ryan's one more guy to watch out for out of Kansas City. Again, a lot of good talent out of Kansas City as of recently. Nebraska really getting involved in that area, Missouri and Kansas, all over the Midwest. Really high, a really athletic linebacker. Like he got some speed on him, man. He's only 6'1", kind of undersized, but he can play all over. Kind of reminds me of a better Jace Reynolds in a way. So watch out for this name. Nebraska right now is also the team to beat for him. And then let's get to the secondary real quick. We got Bryce Williams, who just decommitted from Florida State 2 days ago. Nebraska right now is the team to beat alongside Florida. Watch out for this name. He visited the Huskers multiple times. Again, 6'2", 180. Man, really good upside. And also, Addison Williams has been peer recruiting him for a while. Addison Williams wants him. This is Addison Williams guy. And man, he would be lethal in the secondary to pair alongside Torrey Pittman. Then you got Bryson Brown. I still believe Nebraska probably in that top 3, get along with Oklahoma. It's really just us or Oklahoma, really. I mean, we've actually done a really good job in Oklahoma. Like, people really aren't talking about that, but we've done a really good job with him. Not only him, but about a guy we're about to talk about, somebody with really good speed, very physical. I imagine coming out of Oklahoma. Another guy who probably will visit very soon. You got Corey Hadley. Nebraska right now is the team to beat. Borderline 5-star safety out of Georgia. Also another guy who Georgia Tech recruited. So, I mean, Jeep Wade probably wasn't recruiting him, but still should be noted. And then Samaj Stanford, us or Oklahoma, been that way for like 2 years now. I don't know when this guy's going to commit, but I mean, he's like Torrey Pittman 2.0. They're like clones. Like, that would be unbelievable to have Samaj and Torrey on the same field at the same time. Like, too speedy. I mean, yeah, they're both kind of undersized in a way, but man, they're speedy and they're physical, man. They can play all over. Yeah, so Nebraska, Oklahoma there. It's kind of same deal. No big time update around Samaj Stanford. So that's the class. I really do believe it can be game-changing, man. I mean, sheesh. I mean, these guys are big-time prospects. These aren't some borderline 4 stars. These aren't some 3 stars. These are some dudes. And when I tell you Nebraska has a real chance to land a lot of them, I mean it. So, again, those are kind of the top dog prospects that everybody needs to have their eyes out for. If you have one that I haven't mentioned, let me know in the comment section. All right, let's talk really quickly about Michigan. Of course, we got the news yesterday that Sharon Moore has been fired by cause. We'll talk about that more in the afternoon video, kind of my overall reaction to that situation. But we're just going to talk about it strictly from a recruiting standpoint, particularly in the class of 26. We're going to jump ahead to the class of 26 because I know that we just had sign day that passed. But with now Sharon Moore being fired, these guys can get out of their signing. They can make an appeal to the NCAA and get out of it. And there are a couple big-time Michigan commits who Nebraska really wanted. So Tyne Davis is the one that I get a lot of questions about as of recent. At 6'4", 260, we wanted him so badly. And he committed to Michigan in the summer. It was pretty much down to us, Michigan, USC, I think a couple others in there. But the reason why he committed to Michigan is because of Sharon Moore. He loves Sharon Moore. Well, Sharon Moore ain't going to be there anymore. We don't know who they hire. And if they hire somebody, they might have mass exodus all over the coaching staff. So Tyne Davis, I do believe he'll stay with Michigan because although he loves Sharon Moore, he loved the culture. He's somebody who really cares about academics. And Nebraska's like not some schmuck school when it comes to academics, but we're no Michigan, right? So I do think Tyne Davis will stay to clear that up. And also, we're just not going to flip him without a defensive line coach. Like, the only way we get this guy is if Elijah Robinson is transported to Lincoln as we speak and gets on the phone with Tyne Davis and says, hey, Tyne, 7 figures, get over to Lincoln. That's probably the only way. But I think Tyne's going to stay with Michigan to clear that question up. And then Matt Lugwood's another guy my eyes out for. Somebody I was really high on, number 1 player out of Montana. Freak tight end athlete, 6'5". Kind of reminds me of a Carr Nelson away with a little bit of higher upside. Another guy who really only committed to Michigan because of Sharon Moore, but very similarly to Tyne Davis. He's a big academic guy, and I think he'll stay with Michigan for that reason. So I know I got a lot of questions about that. Like, will he flip anybody? It's just tough this late in the process. And Nebraska's had coaching turnover ourselves, right? We're not really in a great position to poach people, right? Especially after our lackluster season. McFeel Blade's interesting too, but I doubt it there. Again, we don't have a defensive line coach as it stands. All right, guys, loaded recruiting update. Man, it's going to be a loaded class. I'm fired up. I think it's going to be one of the best classes we've ever seen. At least I hope it lives up to that expectation. Yeah, have we won as of recent? No, but money talks. And let me tell you right now, having a good surrounding cast of Trey Taylor, Tay Ellis, some other dudes peer recruiting every single day, that's huge, man. It's going to go a long way. So, all right, let me know your thoughts down below. Where's the one prospect you want? Let me know in the comment section. Hey, if you made this far, you know what to do. Hit that like button, subscribe. As always, folks, go Matt Rule, and I'll see you in the next one.